So this is our assignment. We have to organize a learning process. This is our starting point. There is participation is customization. So there are no recipes to organize a process, something that you can just follow. But according to us, there are situations that always return. I mean, you have to recall the word situation. It will return in the other room and in my presentation. So it means, for example, language, misunderstanding of language, power relations in a participatory process, the maintaining of engagement. So independent of if you're working at a very small scale or on the big scale, these are sort of situations that return. Again, you cannot use a cooking book or you cannot use a manual just to tackle these situations, but you can grow more capable in tackling them. That's our assumption at least. So you can sort of anticipate the situations coming. Okay, there's a power relation at play here. We need to do something here. Or, okay, apparently people are misunderstanding each other here. So how can we how can we try to do something about this situation? And then, so the whole question that we want to tackle in these 5 sessions is, how can you learn to participate? So how can we grow more capable in tackling these situations? And in the book that was published after 10 years of urban renewal projects, this was one of the quotes that I always recall. I mean, if you take part in a participatory process, you become better in doing participation. So you learn by doing. But okay, that's easy. That's maybe too easy. Then you need to take part in a lot of participatory processes. And it will really take some time before you're capable in tackling these situations. So our aim or our claim is we can speed up this process of learning. So that you don't have to wait 10 years of doing participatory projects before you're good at them. But we can accelerate and tune or direct this learning process. And that's what we're trying to find out together, of how to do this. So it's not anymore implicit learning, not learning by doing, but explicit. The focus is really learning. And it's not individual. Everyone who takes part in a participatory process learns himself about how to tackle situations. No, it's deliberate and it's as a collective. Now we want to learn to tackle language differences or to tackle power relations. So how do we want to do that? We want to, and that's also what I said a month ago, we want to define collectively with this group a number of learning protocols. So protocols that help you learn to tackle participatory situations or challenges. We do that by studying 5 cases by Ruimte Vlaanderen. Okay, number 3 and 4 are wrong, still I have to replace them, I realize now. So case 3 and 4 change. So what we do, we talk with the coordinators of these cases and together we try to see how in this process did they try to tackle these particular situations or challenges. So I have individual sessions with the coordinators of these 5 projects. And then at the second level, what do? We also have collective processes. So we give assignments in these 5 sessions and we collectively try to develop these learning protocols. And you will see on the windows in the door in the room next door, I mapped what we did last time. So last time, the aim of last session was to sort of make an inventory of, on the one hand, situations, so again challenges that you meet, activities that you have been organizing to tackle these, and capabilities that you developed during or that you think you needed to tackle these situations. So we have 3 sort of big collections. I don't know if you recall that in the end we had a template and that's where they were hanging. What we tried to do, in the meantime, was to sort of find a bit of a structure in, are there particular types of situations that you're coming across? Are there particular types of activities that you're organizing or particular capabilities that you were developing? So that's sort of what we did last week. Each row, maybe that's also already interesting to see, is one of the particular situations that we try to tackle. So the top row was to deal with the global versus the local. I don't know if you recall. The second row was how do we involve politicians. And today we will introduce 2 new rows. But you also see that there's a gap here. I mean, I made it on purpose. You also will see that there's a blank window. in the room next door. And that's what we're going to focus on today. I mean, I understood Stijn already had this in his course, this circle. This is one of the basic circles. If you type in learning in Google, this is one of the first images that you come across. So this is an image representing experiential learning. So you do an experiment, you learn from the experiment, you define a new experiment. And that's a cycle which I think it's easy to explain. I think it's also easy to work with. So you have an experience. For example, in a participatory situation, you experience something. Later, based on this experience, you reflect. What did I experience? You try to sort of learn from what you experienced. You try to conceptualize it. Okay, this was it, what I was working with. And on the basis of this conceptualization, you define a new activity, you experience, you reflect, you sort of try to learn from it, you define a new activity, and so on. And this is a cycle that you continuously go through. And what we did last time is we talked about situations. So, for example, how do you tackle this global-local tension? And we immediately switched to activities. This is what we did to tackle it. And I think to go through this learning cycle together, we forgot these two steps. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So, we are basically going to discuss a particular situation that you experience in a participatory process. And then we're going to reflect on, okay, what was the problem in fact about? And we're going to try to define new learning objectives, and on the basis of that, define new activities and a new situation. So we're going to focus on these two new steps today. And this is this column that we're going to fill in. So we're going to jump from situations to learning objectives. So you have a particular situation. For example, again, municipalities are only busy with their local problems, while Ruimte Vlaanderen is busy with regional problems. They don't understand one another. Okay, what do we want to try to do in order to tackle this situation? What is our learning objective? And then, based on this learning objective, we're going to choose situations, choose activities to then experience. You will be guided through this process if it's not clear at this moment. And we're going to do this not in on a random case, but again on the case which was introduced in the beginning. I still call it slim verdichten. Apparently it's not completely the correct name. It's stadsregionale samenwerking is, I understood, the official name. But okay. So this is the case we got introduced this morning. And we're going to focus, I went through this individual process already, and we found out that in this case, two sort of particular challenges or situations appeared which are relevant for others, probably for you also in your participatory projects. One is dealing with internal diversity, and one is making abstract concepts concrete. I'll try to explain it a bit more clear. So these are the two situations that we will work on, and these are also the two situations that you got homework on. So I hope they were already a bit clear. So, dealing with internal diversity. What I understood in Antwerp and all the municipalities around is that in these groups, people come with different expertise. I mean, the city of Antwerp or the municipality of Boeghout, I mean, they have quite a bit of a different expertise in participation. And if you want to keep them on board, it needs to be interesting for all of them. So, for Antwerp it cannot go too slow, and for Boeghout it cannot go too fast. So how do you keep these differences in the same group? How do you keep them enthusiastic or enthusiasts? And one of the things I learned from having this discussion was one, and it was also presented by Mieke, is you ask the representatives of each municipality to come with examples from their own municipality. So, and by asking them to come with municipalities from their own examples from their own municipality, they stay aboard, and it remains interesting, and they feel they're respected by the others. Another one is also the attractive or the fun locations. So each time you ask one of the municipalities to organize it, you help them, but you make sure that each of the municipalities organize at once. Again, that's a trick to keep them aboard. A third one, what I learned is you ask them to define research questions that you need to do as Ruimte Vlaanderen, or for which you are going to look for answers. So everyone can define research questions. So you have research questions defined by the fast ones and by the slow ones, but they remain relevant for all. So that's a few tricks or a few activities which were used in this project. I hope we will find a lot of other ones today. And the second challenge, if we have time, that's for the second round, is this was to make things more concrete, not to remain on an abstract level. And the problem with a lot of participatory projects, we experience it ourselves also, because of this diversity and the differences in agendas. I mean, you want to keep everyone aboard, so you remain very open, very vague. And if you remain vague, okay, everyone thinks there's something of his agenda or of his story in this vagueness. But at the same time, if you remain vague too long, they will not take part anymore. So how do you make this process more concrete? What I learned from Antwerp is, again, on the one hand, you ask, in this case, mayors to come with their own projects, and by having to come with very concrete projects, they make this vagueness. What does it mean densification? What does it mean spatial quality? They make it more concrete. And another thing what I found very smart was the last slide of Mieke, is where you provide a designer to design on very specific design questions for each municipality. A municipality is planning to, they don't know how, they can make use of a designer provided by Mieke, and suddenly these designs by the designer become cases which sort of also illustrate what it means spatial quality, what it means densification. So they make the whole story more concrete. So again, two answers to this question. I hope you come with some more. So what I hope we will do, what we will have in the end is you will put some more force on the type of situations that you come across in your own practices. We will define learning objectives. We don't have any at this moment, so that's the blank space in the window that we'll fill in. And we will have more activities that you have been using to tackle these situations. We will not talk about capabilities today, so the most right window you will see will not complete. 13:30, 10 minutes too late, so we will start as fast as possible with workshop 1. Then we will have another presentation by Denis, and then we will do a second workshop to end with a summary of what we can do next in a month's time. I gave a bit more time to these workshops because they were a bit short last time. Okay, so I think we can remain in the 4 groups, but maybe not more than 3 tables.
3 tables en ik ga bij Peter zitten.
Yeah?
Ja.
Okay, so only 3 tables. Good.